Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from What Culture, joined for the first time on the main channel by comics Zoe Miskelly.
I begin to be Zoe Miskelly.
And we've got some great main news for you today, and we're going to kick things off talking about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, because obviously we had that great D23 trailer the other month, and then a poster released last week that was really, really cool. Kind of reminds me of the old Star Wars posters done by Drew Struzan, where you have, you know, it's not all... I really hate modern posters where it's literally just like, here are some photos of some people assembled in a very generic fashion, looking at you, Spider-Man Far From Home. And I kind of really like this one because it has Rey and Kylo battling on the wreckage of what I think is the second Death Star, and then Emperor Palpatine's kind of looking overhead. And Screen Rant will come out with a new theory today, actually, that maybe the way the poster presents Emperor Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine, is linked to actually, it kind of maybe clues us in on how he's come back. Because my theory at the time was that he was meant to be a Force ghost that might be trapped in the Death Star.
That's all right.
Kind of just haunting the halls, hearing the occasional, I don't know, womp rat and going, "Bleh," and then nothing happening, and he's like, oh. So now that he's actually got some people that are actually crashing his party, Screen Rant have hypothesized that the energy cascading off of Rey and Kylo's lightsabers actually emits upwards towards Palpatine, who's kind of overshadowing like a big ominous presence. And they actually say that the image itself, the energy cascading from the sabers, kind of looks very similar to the energy that Palpatine emitted when he gets thrown into the pit of the Death Star in Return of the Jedi, which again kind of lends weight to the theory that maybe he is a Force ghost that's tied to the Death Star.
I'm so into that. I mean, anything with a bit of a lurking Palpatine is sort of my jam, just because I think not only was he great for memes, but he was also arguably my favorite Star Wars villain, even though Darth Maul maybe looked a bit cooler.
I mean, Ian McDiarmid is always good value.
So good, so good. So even if he just shows up as a little ghost feature, I'd be entirely game for that.
Yeah, Screen Rant also mentioned something, and I'm not as clued up on the expanded universe as I used to be. They mentioned something called the World Between Worlds, around that, quote, transcends time and space, and how Palpatine was looking for that back during the events of the original trilogy, which has since been confirmed in the official new Disney canon. So maybe we'll get some more expanded universe ties into it, and maybe that's how, you know, Palpatine has been waiting for ages for someone to actually get there, and maybe both Kylo and Rey will actually get some interesting visions. I wonder what he's going to show Kylo. I think it's pretty much confirmed at this point. The double evil Rey lightsaber image is a vision. It's difficult to see that being anything else, but yeah. Sorry, let's move on to the next story. What have you got here?
The next one, we're going from Star Wars to a different kind of wars.
Medieval Star Wars.
The old Star Wars, the non-Star War, in Lord of the Rings, where the current Amazon series, we don't really know that much about it. It's sort of very shady right now. We know it's in the Second Age, but what we do know is that Will Poulter, who you may remember this year from Midsummer, will in fact be in it, which is a really weird one for me, because if anyone remembers the 2014 comedy We're the Millers, where he was just this really dorky, just like vaguely pathetic teenager, that I can't unsee him as that.
My only fun fact about Will Poulter is that I actually saw his first ever film in the cinema, Son of Rambo, a quaint little British comedy about home movies.
Yeah, and people will also remember him from Bandersnatch. So he's a very, very good actor, but also
I'm defrosting mints.
He's in so many roles where you're like, wait, isn't that guy from Bandersnatch? I'll be very excited to see how he does it, because he's very good at playing a series of different roles.
So his cult hero Will Poulter from Bandersnatch fame is going to be in Lord of the Rings. Do you have any inkling what he might be playing?
It's unclear to me, just because he's played so many comedy roles and so many serious roles that you can't really tell. Obviously, the Second Age is when Sauron comes to power, so I'm imagining he probably will have a vaguely serious role in someone who has to combat that, because that's all I can really imagine the series being about.
I'm relieved that it's not just aping what we've already seen on screen. Like, I'm very happy that it's actually diving into the lore of the Lord of the Rings.
It should be incredibly interesting.
Yeah,
it's just obviously Will Poulter could be, as long as he's not like anyone we've seen before.
As long as he's not literally, I wonder, you know what, actually, here we go. High concept theory.
Right.
What if Will Poulter is the orc from the looks like meat's back on the menu orc, and he does another similar Bandersnatch thing where he's like, I'm defrosting meat, or something like that. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
The happiest day of my life.
I wouldn't be too heartbroken if it didn't happen. But anyway, moving on to the other news that we have right now, and that's Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider from 2017, I think the Alicia Vikander film, is actually getting a sequel, even though it didn't gross too hotly at the box office. It's still quite an enjoyable. I think it's probably the best video game adaptation that we've
I
had
thought it
in
was
live action.
better than you'd expect.
Yeah, and basically we know that Ben Wheatley, according to Deadline, is going to be directing the sequel. Now, anyone familiar with Ben Wheatley's work is going to be somewhat surprised by that. He's a he's a fan favorite indie director. He directed Free Fire the other year, which I absolutely loved. That had some really good A-list talent in there, like Brie Larson and, oh my god, what's his name? Armie Hammer. It was a really, really good film. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's kind of a very, very weird appointment because you have video game franchise here, which, took inspiration from Crystal Dynamics' last Tomb Raider reboot. And then you have Wheatley coming in. Again, it's an exciting appointment, but certainly kind of left field given what's been on his past resume. Yeah.
I almost feel like that's the exciting part, though. I think if it had just been like another big name, you'd be like, oh, it's a video game film made by that guy.
Uwe Boll.
Whereas now you're like, there's no way this is going to be a normal film, so I might actually go see it.
Bring back Uwe Boll and Wes Anderson to do all the video game movies.
As Lara Croft.
As Lara Croft, yeah. I don't know, it's interesting. I'm kind of like, I like when franchises, like you say, delve into the indie circuit. We've got Kathy Ann doing Birds of Prey, we've got Chloe Zhao doing The Eternals. It's kind of nice when, when these big studios realize that just hiring another, generic director to direct their big blockbuster film
isn't necessarily.
It's much more interesting to pool someone like a Scott Derrickson or something like that to really add some unique flavour to what you've got. But yeah, what's the next up?
Speaking of flavour.
Flavour.
So the Joker film is very, very hyped right now, but currently we have some slightly darker news in that we've learned that
Joaquin Phoenix.
One day, has essentially spoken to ET Canada, in the Venice Film Festival, about the personal sufferings that he went through for the role.
This is a trend with Joker actors.
It's a really concerning trend.
Yeah.
So essentially, for the role, he lost 52 pounds, which is 23 kilograms.
I think I would just be skin and bones at that point. And I'm already a skinny guy, so I wonder.
Obviously, he wasn't the biggest fella to begin with.
You know when in The Mummy, or is it The Mummy 2? I don't know. The Mummy 2, when Imhotep is like consuming the people and it has the shadow of the guy being thrown across and he just turns into a withered skeleton. That would be me getting ready for the Joker role, I think.
Yeah, well, it's concerning. Essentially, he said the first thing he focused on was the weight loss, and that was what he started with. As it turns out, that impacts you psychologically, and you really start to go mad when you lose that much weight in that amount of time.
Wow.
So obviously, the role he had to focus on is one that heavily focuses around his mental health. But it is concerning that we seem to have this trend for the role of the Joker where it's like, oh, I was preparing to be in that role, so I lost my mind.
It's very weird to me because it's not as though literature and other media is short of truly depraved, reprehensible villains, but there is something unique, unquantifiably perhaps, about the Joker that basically takes actors to a really, really dark place, and that tends to pay dividends on the big screen. Obviously, the first priority should be their own personal well-being. It's an interesting one, and the thing that kind of is slightly funny to me about this is the fact that Jared Leto was like really prepared for ages to be the Joker, and all he got to do in the Suicide Squad was have a really bad laugh, a really bad haircut, and make a knife angel, like it was like and whereas Joaquin is like busting it out the park with the Joker, which releases next month.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm hopeful but apprehensive because obviously he has made some real sacrifices. So if it isn't great, he did lose 23 kilograms, sort of for nothing.
Anyway, moving on to the next story, and it is related to the DC universe, and that's that Mahershala Ali is actually being eyed for a role in Matt Reeves' The Batman, which is very interesting because Mahershala has been going around and doing all the Marvel stuff recently. He was in Luke Cage, he was in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and now he's going to be in Blade as well in Phase 5 of the MCU. So it's like, I kind of like it now that actors can basically just go back and forth between both publishers and just play both sides of the aisle. We've had J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, we've had J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, now he's going to be J. Jonah Jameson again. That's a lot of J's to have in one sentence. Oh my god, my brain. But anyway, this is a report from We Got This Covered, who say that Warner Brothers, while having not made contact with Ali yet, are eyeing him for a major role alongside Robert Pattinson, who is of course playing Batman in the film. They do mention that Commissioner Gordon might be a potential shout. What do you think?
I would be incredibly game for that. It was like you're saying, I'm very interested in this lack of monopolies anymore, because it used to very much be you either worked for DC or you worked for Marvel, or halfway through your career you could maybe do a quick transport. But now to have this like, oh, I can be that dude and I can be that dude. I can be whoever you want, whoever you need in any of your films. I'm not bound to anything. I think it's a really nice transport from what happened in the early days of comics, which was people got kind of screwed up.
Yeah, because he was in True Detective as well, I'm correct in thinking. So that would lend itself well to actually pull across from there. Obviously, Moonlight was incredible. He was the emotional core of Spider-Verse as well. And his role as Uncle Aaron in that, or as the Prowler, was really incredible. Obviously, he was amazing in Luke Cage too. So I'm really excited to see if this rumor actually holds any weight. Obviously, for now, take it with a big old grain of salt. One big grain. I don't even know how big grains of salt can be. I should rather say a big old dollop of salt, because this might not happen. But at the same time, it's nice to think about and contemplate, because I would love to see Mahershala Ali as Commissioner Gordon. But yes, Zoe, what's the next story?
Well, things that aren't dreams. We have a breaking new trailer for The Birds of Prey. It's supposedly only coming out this weekend. Variety have reported this. It's playing just before It Part 2. It's only It Part 2. And it basically takes, I don't know if you saw the first trailer.
I saw the new trailer for Birds of Prey.
So the first trailer it's not boring.
Oh, the little sizzle reel.
The little tiny.
Yeah.
So the first trailer was very like, oh, it's very artsy, look at this. Whereas the second one, it's a lot of fun, it's very punchy. They make a lot of jokes. Harley Quinn makes a joke about killing Pennywise. I'm very game for it. It's very exciting, and it promises some very good things for Birds of Prey, which I think we were all a little bit worried about, maybe.
I mean, we've come over and just hijacked the main news today from the comic channel, but we are both massive fans of the Birds of Prey comic by Gail Simone and Ed Benesch, and it's such a good series. I'm so excited about everything about this film. I've never really been too fussed about Black Mask as a character, but Ewan McGregor, I've got to rep the Ewans, so I've kind of got to be down for what he's doing here. I love the costume design, and the wardrobe in this film is great. Black Canary, who's like one of my favorite characters ever, is going to be in it, as is Huntress. It sounds absolutely amazing, and I really can't wait to see it. You can find the trailer online at the moment, and yeah, that intro like really threw me one, because I genuinely thought, wait, someone sent me an It trailer here, because it has the theme from it and everything. But yeah, it's really, really cool. So we got one more story. Was that all of them?
That was it.
That was it. So yes, please let us know what you thought of these stories down in the comments below. Are you excited about the new Star Wars Rise of Skywalker theory? Are you interested in Lord of the Rings, or Tomb Raider 2, or Mahershala Ali being in the new Batman movie, and of course Harley Quinn 2? And what do you think of Joker as well? Because that movie is shaping up to be maybe the controversial focal point of 2019, at least when it comes to films. Yeah, please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And head back on over to whatculture.com to find more lists, news, and articles like this every day. Please, I've been Ewan. I run out of breath. Follow me on Twitter at Ewan Ruins Things, and today I've been joined by the ever-present Zoe Muskelly.
And I do not run out of breath, but I am very much Zoe, and you can find me at Zen Muskel.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.